For those who haven't heard yet, as part of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for 2020 for the town of Orangeville, it has been proposed that the two branches of the Orangeville Library be consolidated into one location at the Alder Street Arena. This would result in the Mill Street location being repurposed, such as for a black box theater or a cultural center, although that has yet to be determined. Many in our community are against the Mill Street branch of the Orangeville Library shutting down, as it has become a community hub of sorts, and some are concerned it may disproportionately affect vulnerable people. Among those concerned is Kim Van Ryn, founder of Branching Out Support Services, who heavily incorporates the Mill Street branch into the day program they run for adults with developmental differences. I was lucky enough to meet Kim through my show Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and she is someone who genuinely cares about helping those in need, and is someone who has her finger on the pulse of the community, especially when it comes to issues affecting at-risk populations. We are thankful to have Kim here on Dufferin News, as she is making sure we are fully informed on the true cost of this decision. To learn more about Kim Van Ryn and the work that she does with Branching Out Support Services, follow them on social media and check out their website, branchingoutsupportservices.ca. Before we get into the issues that Kim sees with consolidating the Orangeville Library at the Alder Street location, I just wanted to share a clip of the video that Kim posted to Facebook last week, where she reads a letter that she shared to Council for their last meeting before Orangeville Council decided to postpone the discussion on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan until July 27th. I'll make sure to post a link to Kim's full video below, so be sure to check it out. Anyways, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us to share these important views on the possible consolidation of the Orangeville Library. I'm Josh McEwen, and I hope you enjoy this segment of Dufferin News.
In my work serving clients with developmental differences, I have encouraged a high use of the library as a community hub, a place to learn, a place to access resources, and most of all, be accepted. I participated in advocating for our library to win an award for their excellence in acceptance of all abilities, a commendation they rightly deserved. The adults I support regularly volunteer at the Mill Street branch, pre-COVID, and was one of the most requested and enjoyed activities at our day program. The volunteers are accepted as they are, make friends with other community members, give back, and generally enrich their lives. What a fantastic testimonial for our Mill Street branch. And I just would want to add to that the participants in the Branching Out Day program can walk to the library from where we are on First Street. So that's a really beneficial thing for us.
So what are the biggest problems you have with consolidation at Alder?
I think the transportation piece is a big one. So there are a lot of people who use the Mill Street Library, and maybe some town polling would also, like patron polling, would help us really understand how many people who only walk or use transit if they're able frequent that library. And it includes a fairly large group of seniors, from what I understand, and a fairly large group of people who have some sort of different developmental physical disability. So I think for accessibility, the Mill Street branch is really important, because it might be hard for some people to get to Alder if they don't have a car or somebody who can drive them or afford a taxi. And I know some people say, like, oh, who can't afford a taxi? But I think that's a reality for some people. So I think getting there is one of my biggest concerns. The Mill Street Library also operates as a community hub, and it's right in our downtown. It serves a vulnerable population, and our librarians are amazing at serving that vulnerable population. So I think that the ability to have access to free resources and free internet is huge for people, because then they're able to do what they need to do to get on in life. And just all the other resources that come along with the library, including transit maps and town resources and job searching resources, all of those things are very readily available at both locations. So I think it's great to have both the way we have it now.
Like I'm getting the feeling that this move may disproportionately affect vulnerable people.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that reducing the amount of community spaces is actually not the way we want to be moving as a community right now. I've heard of libraries in larger city centers that actually have social workers on staff, because libraries do sometimes serve a vulnerable population. I mean, libraries serve everybody. That's part of the point that I make in the letter that I wrote to council, is that that's why libraries are amazing, because they are an equalizer of people. Anybody can go to a library, but they're also spaces that people who are vulnerable can go. So instead of reducing those spaces, I've heard of other communities who are building them up and even making them more accessible. And I love that kind of outlook, especially when we have been apart in this COVID environment for quite a while. I think people are experiencing more mental health issues probably than ever before, and there's probably some good fact-checking that could be done about that. So let's keep our community spaces and let's keep them vibrant and healthy.
So if consolidation were to occur at Alder, what would you think the best use of the Mill Street Library space would be? Something similar to what you described there, or like more of like a social gathering?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if it could remain open as a community center, I know that the words a cultural center were used with some ideas about theater and art, and I really like those ideas. I think those ideas can even be incorporated into the spaces we already have. But keeping a space where people can get resources and be safe would be really important to me.
It doesn't seem like it's unfeasible, again, to get like a little black box theater like they're describing into a space. It doesn't seem like that's impossible.
No, and especially if there's already, I think within the entire Parks and Recreation plan as a whole, there's talks about different community spaces being altered to better serve our needs, which I think is the beauty of Parks and Rec master plan, is that we look at the whole scenario and we see what spaces we can improve, what spaces that we can save money on, right? Like, completely understand that. Amongst the people that I work with in social services, in community development, and I work very closely with many library staff on a variety of projects, my feeling is, amongst the communities that I'm a part of, is that we need the Mill Street Library as part of our downtown core. We're going to have to look at community spaces differently. I do understand that, for health and safety, right? But that's every single community space in Orangeville. It's not just libraries. It's not just things that are part of the Parks and Rec master plan. Like, my business on First Street also needs to take those things into consideration. But there's lots of people out there that are doing that and are figuring out how we can bring community back together in really creative ways. And the Mill Street Library is a brilliant space to be able to do that. I think there's so many options for that space. Continuing to keep it a library, but so many options to continue to keep a library and keep it safe and bring community together. We have an amazing community here. We are completely capable of that. I so strongly believe that we are completely capable of that.